So here are the Phillies, 48-59, 9.5 games out of a wild card spot. Probably ahead of where they thought they would be, but still a minus 104 in runs scored. Still, need some offense. So was yesterday an opportunity missed that they could have added to a weakness? We'll bring Tommy Greene from Comcast Sportsnet, former Phillies pitcher, into the conversation. And I think for the most part, Tommy, Matt Klentak said yesterday, we weren't going to just make a deal to go out there and make a deal, but was this an opportunity missed for them yesterday?
Well, I'll tell you what. You look at it and they didn't make a deal. And I've always been an advocate of what they're trying to do this year about the rebuild and seeing what they got in the minor league system and young guys they do have. They got a piece back that I've been wanting to see all year in Altier, to see how he can mature at the plate and see if he possibly can be one of those corner outfielders, because he's got the body and the frame to add power, and be more productive, but he's a great outfielder, and I was looking forward to that. Now, for them to go out there and try to get something right now, it's got to be real sweet to me to give up on some of their prospects and what they have in their system already. But I was like, it didn't shock me. They didn't do anything, because they didn't have to do anything.
Yeah, and this is a team that is kind of, would you say, Tommy, a little bit ahead of where you thought they would be at this stage, even though their record, doesn't jump off the page? This is better than people thought they would be.
Yes, what's been real good to me is seeing the growth of the young starters. And they're going to go through goods and bads, but overall it's been very pleasing to see, and that's what you got to have, that maturation process and putting them in the fire and letting themselves try to work through the struggles, and see if they can get through them, because we do have guys behind them that's going to be pushing them, and that's a good thing to have that healthy competition in the system. And then the same thing goes with the offense. You got guys coming that's knocking on the door, is putting the heat on the guys up here, and the guys probably know who they are a little bit, and it's good competition. You either get it done, or they're gonna make changes sooner or later.
Tommy Greene with us. Tommy, about a half hour ago, the Phillies announced that they had designated Andrew Bailey for assignment, and they were bringing up Luis Garcia from Lehigh Valley. Did Andrew Bailey get enough of a look, and if so, why do you think he wasn't able to get it done?
Well, I tell you, looking the way he's been trending lately, he's sort of struggled really a lot. I liked him coming out of spring training, but I liked the way he went about his business a little bit, because he was an ex-closer coming off shoulder problems and stuff. They were trying to catch lightning in a bottle a little bit. He's healthy, but he's not throwing like he used to, but he's got the mentality is what I really like coming out of the pen, the aggressiveness. But it all comes down to making pitches when it counts, and he started getting hurt a lot lately. And if you're not making pitches, you're going to back up a lot of bases. And if you're a reliever, your ERA and stuff gets inflated awful quick, and it's hard to get it down.
Now, Zach Eflin's on the mound for the Phils tonight, and in his previous 7 starts, he really looked like he turned things around. His last time out, not so great, 7 runs on 9 hits against the Marlins. Which Zach Eflin do you think we see tonight, and how do you think he's pitching right now?
I'm looking for him to see. He did the same. Look at what he did his first outing. It was sort of a trending same outing type thing he had last outing. Where he gave up the big runs and that type of thing. He was missing location a little bit. And you have those starts, and it's sort of like the old golf game. You're only as good as miss is. So if you're missing in good areas, you're looking to throw it there, but you're missing down rather than up and over the middle of the plate. Things can be a better thing for you. It could work out a little better for you, but that's all part of the the learning curve and getting out there and doing. I'm expecting him to get back on pace and go back to what he does good, is using that sinker. And the key to the sinker is being down in the zone. If you're up in the middle of the plate, it doesn't sink like that, and you can have a lot of trouble. You're going to have those outings, and this, that doesn't bother me a little bit. It's seeing how he comes off of it. we can't expect him to be perfect. We can't expect him to give up one run every outing and keep doing what he's doing. You're gonna have those bumps in the road. We just don't want the sharp spikes. We want the gentle rolling waves, not the 30-foot cresters. That type of thing.
Talking with Tommy Greene's with us. Tommy, I want to kind of go back to what happened yesterday because Matt Klentak said they've not determined what they're going to do with Hellickson. That qualifying offer would be about $17 million if they end up bringing him back. So did Klentak put himself in a tough position, or do you think that Hellickson would be worth bringing back at that price?
Well, I tell you, for 1 year, they're going to have the money to do what they want. So they can choose of what they want. It all depends on how he finishes up and what he does, and how he is with the young guys. And hopefully, I haven't been around that clubhouse, and I'm watching them on the TV a lot how they're playing. And obviously, to me, he adds a good. He's teaching those guys how you can pitch with stuff that's not necessarily you're not lighting up the radar gun, but you can change speeds and make guys look awful foolish if you know what you're doing. And he's a pitcher, and that's a good thing to have around those young guys.
Hey, you mentioned, having around the young guys, and he's going to be, 30 years old, I guess, next year. Do you think that was something that Klentak really valued was, hey, you know what? If I bring this veteran guy back, I need to have someone around for these young guys. But does that then, Tommy, open up an opportunity for him to deal one of the young guys in the offseason?
Well, and there's always room to deal somebody. If the trade is right and the people and they're offering the right package. Are some guys maybe untouchable? They were listening to offers to Velasquez and he's one of the guys. He's done a real good job. And he's a power arm. And he's learning how to pitch a little bit and doing things. But when it comes down to it, you like to have that better. There's a better leadership in that rotation a little bit. And to have around them. So like. When they had Morton there too, they liked that veteran influence, and they were trying to, Morton come out throwing the ball probably the best I've seen it, and him coming off different things in his career. You can catch these guys on the swing right there, and you got a good thing coming up for the next couple of years if you want to add years to it. You're not locked down for 2 or 3 years right off the bat. Now, if Hellickson does the job, he's a good guy to have in the rotation that can give you quality innings, and he's, pretty much held up, and he's giving you those innings you need. Because you don't see a lot of guys going 7, 8, 9 innings a lot anymore. So guys that can do that, are valued.
Tommy, you mentioned Velasquez a second ago. Is that a name that you would have moved? Is that a guy that you might have moved on to get a better piece back?
No, well, I tell you what, they got pieces. They got pieces, and for them to do anything right now, they didn't have to do anything, which is fine. They're looking to see what they have, and they'd like for him to be a part of what they got because he's that type of arm. He's the best. To me, he's the best arm he's got in that. They got in that starting staff, and that's a hard thing to give up on and get rid of right off the bat. And you've had him 4 months in the season. So if that. And it's just hard to give up on an arm like that unless the men coming back to you are what you're really looking for it to do, to put in your lineup.
Were you surprised to hear his name in the rumors, though, Velasquez?
No, I wasn't. That's part of it. Everybody's inquiring about things. Everybody's looking to solidify pitching and doing things and to solid up things to make the push for the postseason. These guys that are up at the top, and everybody out there with a quality arm's got a chance, to do things. So people are going to inquire, and there's nothing wrong with inquiring. We can agree to disagree. That's what it comes down to.
We're spending some time with former Phillies pitcher and current CSN analyst Tommy Greene. You can watch him on Phillies coverage tonight on pre- and post-game as the Phillies take on the Giants. Now, Tommy, you're a guy, you played big league ball. You've been traded. What's that like when you get that phone call, and what's it like to be traded?
Well, I tell you, I know in my situation where I was at when I was with Atlanta, it was I was reading the writing on the wall, you know, and it hurts a little bit because you've been with the organization and they've been sort of like family, you know. But you learn quick and you start having to grow up, because I was with them when, you know, I just turned 18 years old and we're coming through the system, and you know, so you feel like you're a part of it. And then when stuff starts not going your way a little bit and you read the writing on the wall, the maturation process happens pretty quick as far as things. You learn that it's a business and you have to take it that way. So when I read the writing on the wall, I welcomed the change, because I felt like I was going, when I got traded, okay, I can use that fuel for the fire. I'm going to do things my way, the way I feel like I need to do to get better, and work with the people I'm getting traded to also, you know, communicate with them how I feel like I need to get better and what makes me better. And that's the way I went about it. So I welcomed the change, and I used that fuel of getting traded to try to help me pitch, you know, especially when I locked horns with the Braves again. I love competing against those guys, you know.
That's an interesting, you know, take, because last week we had Alex Cora, who's doing work with ESPN now, and he said Dave Roberts was a teammate of his, and he broke down in tears when he got traded from the Dodgers to the Red Sox, but he ended up being the hero of the Red Sox that year. And I guess the initial shock for some guys that are, you know, because Tommy, I guess you could talk more on this. Some guys are well established in the community and the schools, and the fans don't really take into account of that, like their comfortability with where they are in their surroundings, and how that changes your performance. If you go moving from Atlanta to Philly, it's a big culture change.
Oh, it's a big shock. It's you know, and we're traveling nomads for the most part anyway. Probably more so. I mean, it was bad travel back in the day when I played, because some of the buses we rode on you didn't want to be on. But you know, but the moving part of it, you know, going from team to team, it was an education. My situation was, you know, I was moving. I was newly up, say to speak, with the Braves up in the big league. Some I was back and forth a little bit. Then I was up there, you know, had a little bit of success, but not doing quite enough what I needed to do to, you know, with my pitches and stuff like that. I needed a breaking ball that I could throw behind an account, and the slider was it, and I could throw it, but they didn't want me to throw it, and that was my issue with them. And after, you know, once I knew that I wasn't in their plans, I told, you know, the people while I was still there that I was going to do it my way, and I didn't care what they said. So, and it wasn't too long after that I was traded. But I did have success after that. You know, so I had to stand. There's times you have to stand up for yourself in an organization when you are a younger guy, and you got to have that talk with people. And I was fortunate enough to have the same manager for like 3 years in the minor leagues coming up. Ended up being Bobby Cox's bench coach for all those years, Jim Beecham, and I was very close to him. And I told him what I thought, and he says, "You're going to be fine, shoot fire," and that's what he used to call me. He says, "You do it that way, you'll be fine." And he was right. And when I got in Philly, I mean, I was on that plane ride going up, rather than, you know, staying stagnant and going down.
16-4 in 1993 for the Phillies. Magical year, no-hitter, and Tommy Greene's with us here on the Sports Bash. Tommy, you look around, you know, you talked about the pitchers on this team. You mentioned Altair, but where do you think the next progression in terms of that they need some help? Who are the guys that maybe you've seen enough from that, you know, all right, we've seen enough here, they need to start looking for help? What areas are they that you feel like they need to start looking to replace?
Well, I mean, obviously you're looking at another corner outfielder. I mean, you know, Cody, they're giving Ashley every opportunity that they can do, and there's things about Ashley's game I really like, but right now he's not hitting enough. You know, right now, you know, he was hurt in the early part of the year, and he come back and he kind of started off slow, then he got hot, and he's back off, and he's not. You know, we got to find that medium. Is he going to be here? He's going to be a bench player, a role player. You know, the Galvises, or is there Hernandez? He quietly does what he does, but is he hitting enough for gap power and stuff like that to do? Making the little mistakes, the base running stuff, you know. That stuff adds up, you know, and if it comes an opportunity to do things, if somebody's pushing the envelope and you're still making those type of mistakes, it makes it easier for them to pull the trigger to do something, you know, to bring that young guy up and piece him in there or put those guys in a trade, or or look for somebody outside of the organization to put there. So, I mean, this is the year they're doing a lot of that stuff to see what these guys can do with the new regime. The guys are getting to know each other. The brass are getting to know the players, and the organization, are getting to know these players, getting the feel of the new players we got. And, there comes a time when the trigger's going to be pulled. And some guys are going to get their feelings hurt. And that's just the nature of the game.
We're talking with Tommy Greene, and actually not in the starting lineup tonight, Tommy. The outfield from left to right is Tyler Goodell, Aaron Altair in center, and Paredes in right. So actually not in the lineup tonight, but Goodell in left makes me think about the Rule 5 player and what you've seen out of him.
Yeah, I mean, also you got to take in consideration who they're facing,
Bumgarner.
Yeah, lefty.
Bumgarner. You don't want to. The lefty's sort of, you got to really hang in there on that guy. But, the Rule 5 guy, I mean, he's shown things, and for a young guy taking, and really before this year, he hadn't played, above Double-A, and not that you say you can't make the jump, because I know jump there, but because when I was with the Braves organization, they took a lot of guys from the Double-A, pitching and position players from Double-A, and that bypassed Triple-A. Up to the big leagues. It's all about the readiness of guys, and also the taking the opportunity. Sometimes it's, with Rule 5, and where we're at, he's got the opportunity to play some, but also they're playing other guys to find out what they got, what they can do, and what they're going to be able to do. Now, if he can hold his own and keep going and keep maturing, add some weight, add some pop to do things, and keep progressing and not staying stagnant, there's always that learning curve. You're always learning something every year. You don't want to start over and start back at old again. You end up back in the same place you start at this year. You want to keep progressing and getting better throughout the year, and hopefully you end on the right note and you keep stepping forward from there. That's what I'm hoping to see from this guy, as far as at the plate a little bit. The plate discipline a little bit more, but yet be aggressive in certain situations, and that's part of the maturation process that, they got some young guys around it, but also you got a couple veteran guys and the hitting coaches there, and coaches that they can really learn from if they're willing to retain it, or when they hear it, keep it in their head and not let it go out the other side.
Tommy Greene's with us. One thing also Tommy could do was hit. You mentioned Baumgartner. He hit for himself. He didn't need a DH, but you wouldn't need the DH either. 4 career dingers, 221. Who's a better hitter, you or Baumgartner?
Well, I mean, we all had power. It's all about running into one. But I took pride. I look at that. If I had a bat in my hand and they walked 8th-place hitter, I had the opportunity to help myself. And being in the National League, that's what I love, because I miss playing the game. Coming from high school, I always played the game. And I loved the game of baseball, but I was being paid to pitch. So when I got to that situation where I could help myself, no matter if it was bunting or putting a ball in play, that could score a run or move a runner. I mean, you can win a ball game. I won a lot of ball games myself doing the little things, help win a ball game, for our team, moving runners over and getting a base hit or hitting a fly ball, making contact. Some of this stuff is a lost art, and I'm watching some pitchers bunt, and it drives me absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. I know Bo is going nuts in the dugout. But,
where does that end? Where, you just mentioned, the pitcher, he's always the best player on the team, the best athlete. When did all of a sudden, did they tell you, Tommy, you're no longer concentrating on hitting? We don't care.
Well, I got drafted, and we kept hitting through the minor leagues. I don't know how they do it now. We took BP and stuff. Obviously, we knew we drafted as a pitcher, but we could help ourselves, and that's what we did. We bunted. We did. And I'd asked hitting coaches, what do I need to do to, help myself a little bit, because we had to be careful on what we did, how much we swung, because you're messing with your forearm and elbow and wrist and stuff, and you be careful. You get jammed one time. So like Hellickson did, you jam your thumb up in there, and you can't get a feel on the ball. I mean, it's a tough thing. But I took pride in mine, and I'd asked the hitting coaches, and I know the one with the Braves for all those years, C.J. Jones, Clarence Jones. I said, what am I doing? How can I be better to help myself? He said, Tommy, by what I see, you don't need to do anything. Just work on going the other way in your BP. Stay short to it, and just let it happen. You're a good athlete. You can tell you played the game of baseball. Now, a lot of these guys these days are pigeonholed earlier in their career, coming up through high school and little league or playing AAU ball to where they just pitch. And they're decent athletes, but they take the bat out of their hand, and it's just like playing golf. You ain't played golf in a while. The first month that you go out there, you're probably going to struggle. You're going to look like you never played the game before, but after that, it sort of comes back to you a little bit. But that's sort of the same way it is, in baseball. If you don't swing, if you don't work at it, you don't use it, you can lose it. And that's sort of the old adage. It's like throwing your fastball. If you don't use your fastball and you're scared of getting hit, and people making contact of you, you don't use your fastball enough, you're going to lose some power when it comes down to it because you're not throwing your fastball enough. So I'm a legit guy about throwing your fastball. So and a legit guy about pitchers can help themselves, and they can work on the button and the little things too. And they can win games for themselves.
And what was the nickname the Braves coach had for you? Fire or something like that?
Jim Beecham used to call me Shoot Fire.
Fire.
So, yeah, and he come up. I was a guy that I used my fastball, and that's why they used to. I guess that's where it come from, and also the nickname Leo Mazzoni gave me back in A-ball was Jethro. So a big, strong, raw-bone country boy, and is one of those type of guys. So he gave me that, and that didn't sit too well with me because he let me stew on it a little bit because you look at Jethro Bodine, he wasn't necessarily the brightest rock in the quarry, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Tommy Greene has... Tommy Greene has pre. He has pre and post game Phillies Giants here tonight as they start a little 3-game homestand. You'll see Tommy on Comcast Sports
shoot
Net.
Some opinions on pre and post.
I love it. Good catching up with you, Tommy. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Tommy.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.